Hello, this is the second video of the Data Science Relevant channel. The title of the video is Data Science CV, Good Practices, Do's and Don'ts, and this is part 1 in the series. I'm going to publish more comments and more advices, more suggestions around good practices for the data science CVs. Okay, let's start. Don't overinflate. It's probably one of the most obvious and when it's done badly, one of the most annoying things. Examples: a recent graduate with a list of skills in a CV consistent with 10 years of work experience. That's just impossible. And by the way, on the other end of the spectrum, if you are not a recent graduate and already have multiple work experiences, or your graduation has a PhD in the name, please don't detail achievements from your high school. They may be precious for your mom, but to your potential employer, those details indicate simply a lack of judgment or perspective. And even if a list of skills could potentially be consistent with your tenure, don't list things you just heard about or things that your recruiter advised. Some recruiters do that, or things out of the job advertisement just because you think it will make your CV when you apply more relevant for a given job. Why? Why is it a bad practice? Well, because if you won't be able to answer, especially if you won't be able to answer even fundamental questions around some specific topic, some specific skills which you listed in your CV, your interviewer, your potential employer could think you are lying. And that's not how you want to start your new job, your new relationship with your potential employer. And by the way, you likely won't get that job anyway. It's super annoying when you effectively catch people trying to trick you when you try to interview somebody for a position. So don't do that. And another why, even if you manage to sneak in, there may not be enough time to learn whatever skill on the job. And do you really want the responsibility of a major client project failure? So, next one is a do. Do are technologies and skills used in a given project. Examples: when you list projects you personally worked on or contributed in a significant way, and by the way, those are the only kind of projects you want to list in your CV. After the few lines, after a paragraph or two at most of a summary for each project, list skills and technologies used. For example, say you've done something around fraud detection, you have a few lines about the most important details of the project, maybe some interesting highlight or two, summary of improvements, and then you list technologies and skills used. Let's say Python. For machine learning, say you used XGBoost and maybe NLP techniques for feature enhancement through free text analysis. You used Git flow for version control. Say you used Azure as a cloud provider, Databricks for data pipelines when you were moving that solution into production, maybe App Insights for monitoring, and some other things. Then this is important because it also allows you to list, say, R in addition to the Python somewhere down your CV when you used R properly for some older project, some project which you worked on some time ago, and when your potential employer sees it in the context of multiple projects as they kind of aligned with the timeline of your employment, they know you used R, but you may not remember it right away because it's been a while since you last used it. But now you can actually properly claim that skill, and of course if you seriously used it and it wasn't just a 5 hours introduction in a uni 10 years ago, it's like a bicycle. You will remember how to script in R if and when you need it. So the above structure of the project's details would then justify and provide context for the skills section of your CV. For example, listing skills that you may not currently have as active in your memory. Okay, next one. Do add number of years to the skills. That kind of follows from the previous two slides. Examples. Well, bad example would be, say, somebody who hands a CV and it says Python, R, SQL, C, C++, TensorFlow, DNN, Azure, AWS, GCP, blah blah blah, the whole bunch of things. Especially, it looks especially bad and suspicious when it's somebody who is, in their 20s, or 20-year-old person. Yes, there are exceptions, but they're extremely rare. And say much better way to do it would be have a skill section, and then in parentheses you indicate that you're going to mention number of years, indicating length of experience for a different skill or different technology. And then you do kind of subsections or bullets, where you say, for example, programming, scripting, used Python already for the 10 years, or you have experience of working with it for 3 years, SQL 5, Linux shell 10 years, C++ for a few years. I used version control collaboration, say CVS, if you still remember what it is, say Git, GitHub, Gitflow, use Jira, and maybe for data science in the cloud, you already have a decent experience with both Azure and AWS, and you started recently exploring things in GCP. All good. And yes, of course, number of years of experience is not everything, and well, some people claim 5 years because they've been doing something for 5 years but rarely, barely achieved anything, and for somebody else 1 year of experience may mean much more and much more experience. But still, this kind of way to list your skills and technologies you have experience with in your career so far gives a good idea, a good kind of starting point for a discussion. Okay, next one. Don't use slang from academia. A lot of data scientists come from academia. For example, most of my colleagues are from academia. I myself come from academia. If you come from academia as your previous position, whether it was just obtaining a degree or you have already a postdoc or a few, maybe even higher position, make sure you read a few examples of data scientists from industry, from business, or contact me for help. I see a lot of CVs formatted, detailed, and full of scientific jargon, acronyms, as if a person applies for their next position in academia in their field. You would have to translate your CV to a more general list of experiences and skills. Say some genetic or maybe astrophysics or something else, very specific analysis would become or generalize into something which sounds like advanced statistical analysis of large, multiple terabyte, multi-dimensional complex data utilizing distributed computing. Then you provide some more highlights in plain English, and then at the end, as we discussed in the previous slides, skills and technologies used, and say you used Python, you used C++, parallel computing, you did some shell scripting, and maybe use D3.js for bespoke dynamic visualizations, and GitHub for version control. Awesome. And then, in fact, one more thing I wanted to mention on this slide. One of the most important skills, I think personally, of a scientist or generally presenter, right, when you present in front of audience of, say, business stakeholders, when you work in a consultancy. So one of the most important skills is the ability to adapt to the audience. You need to be able to explain things, technical things, to people who are not necessarily specializing in the same thing, right? You're talking with the smart people. They simply may have a different specialization. If they don't understand you, it's likely your fault. Problem is, if it is interview, they may not tell you they don't understand you, and they simply would not make you an offer. And do, of course, continue education. If you're applying for a graduate or a junior position, use online courses. Of course, do discriminate between them. Some, well, read many, are so basic they are pretty much useless. I will recommend in later videos some good quality ones, or at least good quality ones in my opinion. And then, of course, there are plenty of good books, classes, meetups, whatever. For a more senior position, well, specialized articles, Kaggle competitions, hobbies around IoT, some AI applications, talks at meetups, talks at conferences, and maybe even organization by yourself of journal clubs or hackathons with your colleagues, or maybe with team on the client side, with team of data scientists or analysts on the client side. And then if you do it, wonderful. Do mention it at the end of your CV. It's especially useful if you had education and/or industry experience which was concentrated around a specific niche or specific field, but you are looking to switch to a different niche or a general consultancy. Yeah. Finally, please do contact me and subscribe. Have your say, make your comments, highlight what was the most important in a given video, maybe most useful for you. What would you like to see in the next one? Ask your questions. Contact me, detail in the video description below. If you need help with data science, CVs, interviews, have otherwise data science related general or technical questions, please let me know. And please subscribe and click notification button. Don't miss any useful information for a future or current career as a data scientist. Thank you.